Stop. These coins could be hidden treasure. Do not spend them. Check your pocket now, because what looks like a normal state quarter could actually be a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. Nobody talks about these, but collectors are fighting behind the scenes, paying insane money. This is real auction shock. These coins change everything, and each one I show you gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay with me, because missing even one could cost you a fortune. First up, you're not ready for this one, because this coin doesn't look rare. It looks tired, dirty, almost forgotten, like something you'd toss into a gas station tray without thinking twice. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. The 1964 quarter with no mint mark is one of those silent traps, a coin people spend every single day, not realizing they just gave away what could have been life-changing money. And if you've ever ignored a worn-out quarter, this is the moment that should make your stomach drop. 1964 was not just another year, it was pressure, economic tension. The United States was dealing with a coin shortage crisis, silver demand was exploding, and the government was quietly preparing to remove silver from everyday coins forever. This was the final year quarters were struck with real silver for circulation. Think about that, the last moment in history before everything changed. And when you hold one, you're holding the end of an era most people completely missed. Now here's where it gets intense. This specific quarter, no mint mark, means it was struck in Philadelphia, where production was pushed hard. Machines were overworked. Dies were stressed. Coins were being pumped out fast to meet demand. That pressure created subtle variations, slight imperfections, tiny details that collectors obsess over. And most people? They never even look close enough to notice. Pick it up. Feel it. This isn't like modern quarters. It has weight, about 6.25 grams of 90% silver and 10% copper. That weight gives it a slightly heavier, more solid presence in your hand. The diameter is about 24.3 millimeters, but it feels thicker than what you're used to today. The edge, look at it closely, there's no orange copper stripe like modern coins. That's your first clue. That solid silver edge is whispering value, but only if you're paying attention. Look at the front, the obverse. George Washington's profile facing left. The word liberty above. In God we trust, just beside his neck. The date, 1964, sitting quietly at the bottom, almost hiding in plain sight. It doesn't scream value. It doesn't beg for attention. That's what makes it dangerous. Because hidden wealth never announces itself. Flip it over. The reverse shows the eagle. Wings spread wide, arrows in its talons, olive branches below. United States of America curves along the top, and quarter dollar sits at the bottom. It looks patriotic, ordinary, but to collectors, every feather detail, every line sharpness, every tiny wear pattern matters. Because those details tell a story of survival. And survival is rare. Most of these coins were used, abused, scratched, cleaned, and destroyed over decades. People didn't know what they had. They polished them, wiped them, even tried to make them shiny, and in doing that, they erased thousands of dollars in value. Let me say this clearly. Never clean this coin. Not ever. That dark toning, that dirt, that aged surface, that's not damage. That's history. That's authenticity. That's what collectors are paying for. Here's the part most people miss. Original condition is everything. A dirty, circulated coin might look worthless to you, but to a collector, that untouched surface is proof it hasn't been tampered with. And once that surface is gone, the value drops permanently. This is why professional grading is critical. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're proving. Now imagine this. Two coins, both from 1964, one cleaned, shiny, lifeless. The other dark, natural, untouched. The difference in value, it can be tens of thousands of dollars. This detail changes everything. Collectors don't just want this coin, they hunt it. Quietly, aggressively. When one appears at auction in the right condition, the room changes. Bidding gets tense. People stop talking. Because they know they're not just buying a coin, they're securing a piece of disappearing history. And here's the truth. Many of them don't even resell. They hold. They wait. Because they know supply is shrinking every year. And right now, the market is screaming. A 1,964 quarter with no mint mark, even in circulated condition, has shocked auctions with values reaching up to $60 zeroth. Let that sink in. A coin people ignore. A coin people spend. A coin that could be sitting in your drawer right now, worth more than a car, more than years of savings. This is not fiction. This is hidden wealth, hiding in plain sight. So what should you check first? The date, 1964, the edge, solid silver, no copper stripe. The surface, do not clean it. Look for natural toning, uneven darkness, real age. And most importantly, be patient. Because the people who rush, the people who assume, they're the ones who lose. Do not spend this coin. Because the moment it leaves your hand, it may never come back. And if you think this one is shocking, what comes next is even bigger. The next coin looks even more ordinary, but it hides a secret that collectors are willing to fight for. Stay with me. You might have already lost this coin, and that's the part that should bother you. Because the 1,941 quarter with no mint mark doesn't look special when it's worn down, dark, and dirty. It blends in. It disappears into pocket change. And that's exactly how people accidentally spend something worth up to $90,000 without even blinking. This isn't just a coin. This is one of those silent fortunes that slips through your fingers while you're not paying attention. Now think about the year, 1941. This wasn't calm. This wasn't normal. The United States was standing on the edge of World War II. Tension was rising. The economy was shifting. Factories were preparing for war production, and the demand for metals, especially silver, was about to explode. That pressure didn't just affect weapons, it affected coins. Production lines were running under stress, and every coin struck carried the weight of a country about to change forever. Philadelphia minted these quarters without a mint mark, and that's where things get interesting. No mint mark means millions were produced, but survival, that's a different story. These coins weren't saved. They weren't protected. They were used hard during one of the most intense periods in American history. People spent them on food, supplies, survival. Nobody was thinking about collecting. Nobody was preserving. And that's why finding one today, especially in original condition, is like finding a ghost from a forgotten moment in time. Hold one in your hand and you'll feel it instantly. This isn't like modern coins. It carries a heavier presence, about 6.25 grams, made of 90% silver and 10% copper. That silver content gives it a density you can feel. The diameter sits at 24.3 millimeters, but it feels slightly thicker, more solid. Run your fingers along the edge. No copper stripe, just a clean silver line. That edge alone should stop you from ever spending it again. Look closely at the front. George Washington's face, calm but firm, facing left. Liberty stretched across the top. In God we trust, beside him. And the date, 1941, quietly sitting at the bottom like it's hiding its importance. But that date is everything. It ties the coin to a world on the brink of war. Most people see a number. Collectors see history frozen in metal. Flip it over, and the eagle spreads its wings across the reverse. Strong, detailed, powerful. arrows clutched in its talons, olive branches beneath, United States of America above, $quarter below. But here's what most people miss: the tiny details, the feather lines, the sharpness of the arrows, the depth of the strike. These are the things collectors obsess over because they reveal how the coin was made under pressure. And pressure leaves marks. During 1941, minting equipment was being pushed hard. Dies wore down faster. Strikes became inconsistent. Some coins came out with softer details, others with sharper impressions depending on timing. These tiny differences, almost invisible to the average person, can mean the difference between a common coin and a hidden fortune. This is why most people miss it. This is why collectors win. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where people make the biggest mistake of their lives. You find a dirty, dark 1941 quarter and think it looks too old, so you clean it. You polish it. You try to make it shine. And just like that, you destroy its value forever. That original toning, that uneven darkness, that antique surface, that's what proves it hasn't been touched. That's what collectors want. Once it's gone, it's gone. Do not clean this coin. That warning alone could save you thousands. Because in today's market, original condition is everything. Even a circulated coin, if untouched and authentic, can command shocking prices. Professional grading becomes critical here. Without it, your coin is just a guess. With it, it becomes a verified piece of history, something collectors trust, compete for, and hold on to like treasure. And the demand? It's not slowing down. Collectors are becoming more aggressive. They're searching harder. They're paying more. Because they know these coins are disappearing. Every year, fewer survive in collectible condition. More are lost, damaged, or melted. And the ones that remain? They're being locked away in private collections, rarely seen again. That's why auctions for this coin feel different. They're quiet at first, almost too quiet. Then suddenly, bidding jumps. Fast, sharp, competitive. Because when two collectors recognize the same coin's potential, it turns into a battle. And the price climbs. Not slowly, but aggressively. This is real auction shock. This is where ordinary-looking coins become life-changing opportunities. Right now, a 1941 quarter with no mint mark, even in circulated condition, has reached values up to $90 zeroth. Let that hit you. A coin that looks worn, a coin people ignore, a coin that might be sitting in your home right now, worth more than most people's yearly income. This is hidden wealth. This is silent fortune. And most people are accidentally losing it every day. So what should you do? First, check the date. 1941 second, look for that missing mint mark. Third, inspect the edge for solid silver. Then examine the surface. Is it natural? Is it aged? Does it look untouched? That's what matters. That's where the value lives. And remember, patience creates wealth here. The people who rush to sell cheap, they lose. The people who understand what they're holding, they wait, they grade, they protect. And when the right buyer comes, everything changes. Do not spend this coin, because once it's gone for good. And if you think this one was rare, the next coin is even more dangerous to ignore. It hides behind a completely different look. And most people don't even realize it exists. Stay with me. You've seen this coin before, I guarantee it. But you didn't stop. You didn't look twice. And that's exactly how people lose a $40,000 opportunity without even realizing it. The 1956 quarter, with no mint mark, doesn't look rare. It looks normal, slightly worn, maybe even boring. But that's the illusion. Because behind that ordinary surface is hidden wealth most people will never notice until it's already gone. Now, let's step into 1956, a time when America looked stable on the surface, but underneath, pressure was building. The Cold War was deepening, economic expansion was accelerating, and the demand for coinage was rising fast. The US Mint was pushing production harder than ever to keep up with a growing economy. And when production speeds increase, quality control starts to stretch. That's where rare coins are quietly born. Philadelphia struck these quarters without a mint mark, and while millions entered circulation, very few survived in the kind of condition collectors dream about. Why? Because nobody thought to save them. These coins were used daily. Gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines. They were handled, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. Over time, most were worn down beyond recognition, or worse, cleaned and destroyed. Now here's where it gets serious. The coin you're looking for isn't shiny. It's not perfect. It's in fine condition, which means it shows wear, but still holds detail. And that balance, that survival, is what makes it so valuable. Because finding a 1956 quarter that's circulated but still original, that's rare. That's where collectors start paying attention. Pick it up and feel it. This coin weighs about 6.25 grams, made from 90% silver and 10% copper. That silver content gives it a heavier, more solid feel than modern coins. The diameter is 24.3 millimeters and the thickness sits around 1.75 millimeters. It has presence. It feels real. And when you run your finger along the edge, no copper stripe, just solid silver. That's your first signal you might be holding something special. Now look at the obverse. George Washington's profile facing left. Liberty above. In God we trust beside him. And the date, 1956, at the bottom. It doesn't jump out at you. It doesn't scream value. But that's the trap. Because that quiet date is tied to a period of heavy minting pressure and economic growth that created subtle variations collectors are obsessed with. Flip it over, and the eagle spreads its wings across the reverse. Strong, but often slightly worn, in fine condition. The arrows in its talons. The olive branches beneath. United States of America above. $quarter below. But here's the detail most people miss. The sharpness of the feathers, the spacing in the lettering, the depth of the strike. These tiny elements are everything. Because in 1956 minting equipment was being pushed. D's wore down. Some coins came out weak. Others came out sharp. And those differences, almost invisible to the average person, are what separate a common coin from a hidden fortune. This is not something you notice casually. This is something collectors hunt for. And they are hunting. Quietly, aggressively, constantly. Because coins like this are disappearing. Every year fewer remain in collectible condition. More are damaged, cleaned, or lost forever. And the ones that survive, they don't stay available. They get locked away in collections, held for years, sometimes decades. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake people make. They clean the coin. They see dirt, toning, darkness, and they try to fix it. That's the moment they destroy its value. Never clean this coin. That natural toning, that slightly aged, uneven surface, that's not damage. That's proof. Proof that the coin hasn't been altered. And collectors want that authenticity more than anything. Once it's gone, the coin loses its identity and its value drops hard. This is why professional grading is critical. You might think you have something valuable, but without grading, it's just a guess. With grading, it becomes verified, trusted, competitive. That's when collectors take it seriously. And when they take it seriously, auctions change. At first, it's quiet. Then, someone recognizes the coin. Another collector sees it too, and suddenly bidding starts climbing. Fast, focused, almost aggressive, because both sides know they're not just buying a coin. They're securing something rare, something disappearing. Right now, a 1,956 quarter with no mint mark, in fine condition, has reached values up to $40 zeroth. Let that sink in. A coin that looks used, normal, forgettable, worth more than most people ever expect from loose change. This is hidden treasure. This is silent fortune, and people are accidentally spending it every single day. So what should you do right now? Check your coins. Look for 1956, confirm there's no mint mark. Examine the edge, solid silver. Then study the surface. Is it natural? Is it untouched? Does it show real age without being damaged? That's where the value lives. And remember, patience creates wealth here. The people who rush, they lose. The people who understand, they wait, they protect, they grade. And when the right buyer comes along, everything changes. Do not spend this coin, because once it leaves your hands, you may never realize what you just lost. And if you think this one was easy to miss, the next coin hides its value even deeper, so deep, most people will never find it until it's already gone. Stay with me. Most people think wartime coins look special, obvious, easy to spot. This one doesn't. The 1,943 quarter with no mint mark hides in plain sight, blending in with loose change like it has nothing to offer. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because while it looks ordinary, collectors are quietly chasing it, paying up to $70,000 for the right one. So if you've ever ignored a dark, worn quarter from the 1,947, there's a real chance you already lost something massive. Now lock into that year, 1943, the world was at war. Not tension, not build-up, full-scale global conflict. The United States was deep in World War II, and everything, every resource, every metal, every machine was under pressure. Copper was being redirected to ammunition. Nickel was being rationed. Even pennies changed composition that year. But quarters, they stayed silver, and that made them even more important, even more heavily used, and even more exposed to wear. Philadelphia struck these quarters without a mint mark, pushing out massive numbers to keep the economy moving during wartime. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Survival is what matters, not mintage. These coins weren't saved. They weren't protected. They were spent hard, over and over again. Soldiers, families, businesses, everyone used them. And over time, they wore down, got damaged, got cleaned, got lost. That's why finding one today in original condition feels almost unreal. Pick it up, and you'll feel history immediately. This coin weighs about 6.25 grams, made from 90% silver and 10% copper. That silver gives it a dense, solid feel, completely different from modern quarters. The diameter sits at 24.3 millimeters, and the thickness is around 1.75 millimeters, giving it a firm, almost heavy presence in your hand. And the edge? Pure silver. No copper stripe, just a smooth, consistent band that quietly signals value. Now look at the front, the obverse. George Washington's profile, steady and composed, facing left. Liberty across the top. In God we trust, beside him. And the date, 1943, resting at the bottom like it's hiding its significance. But that number carries weight. It connects the coin to one of the most intense years in global history. Most people see wear. Collectors see survival. Flip it over, and the eagle dominates the reverse. Wings stretched wide, powerful, almost defiant. Arrows clutched tightly in its talons. Olive branches below, symbolizing peace that felt so far away at the time. United States of America above, $quarter below. But here's where things get serious. The tiny details. The feather definition. The sharpness of the arrows. The depth of the strike. These are the details collectors study obsessively. Because 1943 wasn't easy on the mint. Production pressure was extreme. Equipment was pushed hard. Dies wore down faster than usual. That means some coins came out with weaker details, softer impressions, while others, struck at just the right moment, came out sharp, bold, and incredibly desirable. These differences are subtle. Most people miss them completely. But collectors, they hunt for them. And that's where value explodes. Now let's talk about condition, the part that decides everything. You find a dirty 1943 quarter, and your first instinct might be to clean it. Make it shine. Make it look better. That's the biggest mistake you could ever make. Because the moment you clean this coin, you destroy its original surface. That natural toning, the dark shades, the uneven coloring, the aged look, that's what proves authenticity. Do not clean this coin. That warning alone could be worth thousands. Because in today's market, original coins dominate. Collectors want untouched surfaces. They want coins that still carry the marks of time. That slightly dirty look, that's not damage, it's value. And once it's gone forever. This is why professional grading becomes critical. Without it, your coin is just a possibility. With it, it becomes a verified asset. Something collectors trust. Something they compete for. Something they're willing to pay serious money to own. And right now, demand is rising fast. Collectors know these coins are disappearing. Every year, fewer remain in collectible condition. More are lost, damaged, or locked away in private collections. And the ones that do appear on the market, they don't stay long. Because when the right coin shows up, buyers move fast. Auctions for this coin are intense in a quiet way. There's no chaos at first. Just focus. Then suddenly bids jump. Quickly. Aggressively. Because the people watching understand what's at stake. This isn't just a coin. This is wartime history, preserved in silver. And when two collectors recognize that at the same time, the price climbs. Right now, a 1943 quarter with no mint mark, even in circulated dirty condition, has reached auction values of up to $70 zeroth. Let that sink in. A coin that looks worn. A coin people ignore. A coin that might be sitting in your home right now, worth more than years of hard work. This is hidden wealth. This is silent fortune. And people are accidentally spending it every single day. So what should you do? Start with the date, 1943, then check for the missing mint mark. Philadelphia coins won't have one. Look at the edge, solid silver. Then study the surface. Is it natural? Is it untouched? Does it show real age? That's where the value lives. And remember, patience is everything. The people who rush to sell cheap, they lose. The people who understand what they have, they wait, they protect, they grade. And when the moment is right, they win. Do not spend this coin, because once it leaves your hands, you may never get another chance. And if you think wartime coins can't get more shocking than this, the next one will completely change how you see your pocket change. It hides behind a detail so small, most people never notice it. Stay with me. This is the coin people laugh at until it's too late. The 1951 quarter with no mint mark doesn't look rare, doesn't feel rare, and definitely doesn't scream valuable. It looks like something you'd toss on a counter and forget. But that's exactly how people lose up to $50,000 without even realizing it. Because this coin hides its value better than almost anything else. And if you're not paying attention, you'll spend it like it's nothing. Now step into 1951 for a second. America wasn't at war like 1943, but pressure hadn't disappeared. The Cold War was building. The economy was shifting again. Industrial production was high, demand for metals remained strong, and the US Mint was still pushing hard to keep coins flowing through the system. These quarters were made to be used, not saved. And that's exactly what happened. Philadelphia produced these coins without a mint mark, and while millions entered circulation, almost none were preserved with care. People didn't collect them. They didn't protect them. They spent them, dropped them, scratched them, cleaned them, and forgot them. Over time, that destroyed most of the surviving population in terms of collector quality. So today, finding one in original, untouched condition, especially in a dirty circulated state, is far rarer than people think. Pick it up, and you'll notice something instantly. It feels different. Heavier than modern coins. More solid. That's because it weighs about 6.25 grams, composed of 90% silver and 10% copper. That silver content gives it a dense, almost reassuring weight. The diameter is 24.3 millimeters, but the thickness, around 1.75 millimeters, adds to that sturdy feel. And the edge, smooth silver, no copper stripe. That single detail alone should make you stop and think twice before ever spending it. Now focus on the front. George Washington's profile, facing left, calm and steady. Liberty above his head. In God we trust beside him. And the date, 1951, sitting quietly at the bottom. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't look important. But that's the trap. Because that simple date connects the coin to a period of economic tension and heavy circulation that most people completely overlook. Turn it over, and the eagle fills the reverse. Wings stretched wide, detailed but often worn from decades of use. Arrows clutched in its talons. Olive branches beneath. United States of America above, $quarter below. But here's what most people miss, the tiny details. The feather lines. The sharpness of the strike. The spacing of the lettering. These are the details collectors obsess over, because they reveal whether the coin survived time or was slowly destroyed by it. And here's the truth. Most were destroyed. Not melted, not lost, but ruined by people trying to fix them. They cleaned them. They polished them. They wiped away the very thing that made them valuable. Let me say this clearly. Never clean this coin. That dark toning, that uneven color, that slightly dirty surface, that's not a flaw. That's history. That's proof the coin hasn't been altered. And once you remove that original layer, the value doesn't just drop, it disappears. This is where people lose serious money, because they don't understand that originality is everything. Collectors don't want shiny, they want real. They want coins that still carry the marks of time. That natural aging process, the subtle darkness around the edges, the antique look, that's what drives demand. And when a coin like this survives decades without being touched, it becomes something special. Now add in production pressure. By 1951, minting equipment had already seen years of heavy use. Dies wore down. Strikes became inconsistent. Some coins came out weak with soft details. Others, struck earlier in the die's life, came out sharp and bold. These small differences, almost invisible to the average person, are what separate a common coin from a hidden fortune. Collectors know this. That's why they study every detail. That's why they compete. Because when the right 1951 quarter appears, original surface, strong detail, untouched condition, it doesn't just sell, it triggers a reaction. Auctions get quiet, then intense. Bids start climbing. Fast, focused, competitive, because everyone in that moment understands this coin doesn't show up often. And when it does, you either act or you miss it. Right now, a 1,951 quarter with no mint mark, even in dirty circulated condition, has reached values up to $50 zeroth. Think about that. A coin that looks worn. A coin people ignore. A coin that might be sitting in your pocket, your drawer, your old jar of change, worth a life-changing amount of money. This is hidden wealth. This is silent fortune. And people are losing it every single day without even realizing it. So what should you check? Start with the date, 1951, then confirm there's no mint mark. Look at the edge, solid silver. Then examine the surface. Is it natural? Is it aged? Does it look untouched? That's where the value is hiding. And if you think you've found something real, do not guess. Get it professionally graded. That step alone can unlock its true worth. And remember, patience is everything. The people who rush to sell cheap, they lose. The people who understand what they're holding, they wait, they protect, they let the market come to them. That's how quiet coins turn into serious money. Do not spend this coin, because once it's gone, it's gone. And by the time you realize what you had, it's already too late. Now here's the truth. These weren't even the rarest coins hiding in circulation. There are still more out there, coins people ignore every single day that could be worth even more than what you just saw. So before you spend another quarter, check everything. Because the next coin you touch might be the one that changes everything.